Welcome to Hobby Hopping with Emy, where fun isn't frivolous, it's essential. I'm Emy LaCroix-Halley, a journalist and serial hobby hopper, here to guide you through the wide and wonderful world of hobbies. For this week's Hobby Highlight, we're talking to Doug Saribay, a good friend of mine who has been riding the waves as a surfer in Los Angeles since 2012. Hi, Doug. How are you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for coming and talking to me about this today.
No, happy to.
Oh, I'm so excited. I feel weird asking you for an overview of what surfing is, but hey, there are some people who are landlocked. What is surfing?
I mean, the thing is, you could actually go pretty broad with it. Strictly speaking, as people know it, surfing is standing up on a board as a wave propels you forward in the ocean. But one of my favorite kind of ways to think about surfing is just, it doesn't have to be standing up. It could be, you could take one on your stomach. You can take one on like a mat, a boogie board. Like, it's all surfing.
Boogie boarding is surfing?
Yeah, like any kind of joyful water, ocean-based activity in which you are being propelled by the ocean itself is, like, it's all surfing. That's
I love that.
what we say.
Okay, that's like umbrella.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. So then, where do you usually go surfing?
So these days, I actually go up to Ventura. I used to surf in LA, but obviously because of the fires, it's a bit more of a complicated issue now. And me, out of an extreme abundance of caution, I just leave the county. So
Probably better safe than sorry.
yeah.
How do the waves compare? Do you notice a difference?
There's a little bit more shape to them. Usually, so when you're surfing, what you want to do is, as a wave is kind of peeling in one direction, you want to kind of read the wave, see where it's going, and follow the line of the wave as it's breaking. The way that LA is kind of set up through a lot of different factors, it's what they call closing out, where like there's nowhere to go but straight, like back to shore.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a geometry to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to hear about your story of like how you got into surfing, why, like what originally drew you to it. Like, give me the rundown.
So at the time, I was living in New York at my friend's place, and I was already thinking about moving back to LA. I'd already done LA for about a year and tried New York out for a few months. And surfing was always something that intrigued me. Like, I grew up in like about 30 minutes east of San Francisco, so like we had access to the water. The ocean's always been a presence in my life, but it's wetsuit technology hadn't really caught up yet, so you know, the idea of getting in like the cold San Francisco Bay was just like outrageous.
Sure.
So I was at my friend's place sitting at the kitchen table, and I found a Groupon for a surf lesson, and I was like thinking about coming back anyways, like this will be perfect, it'll like line up exactly how it's supposed to. And it did. It was, I think, within the first weekend that I got back to LA, I like drove down to the beach and had my first lesson. So
Oh my gosh, did you like the instructor?
I did. It was this company called Malibu Longboards that I think is not around anymore. But the instructor was every stereotype you can picture. His name was Blue. He kind of talked like just like your surfer bros. Just like, you just gotta get in the water, man. Just like
Like, wow.
Yeah.
Like that.
it was perfect. It was everything that I was just like, okay, like we're in it. We're doing
You
it.
know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
I can tell.
Yeah. I trust my life to you, sir.
That's amazing. Oh my god. So like how did you feel the first time you did it? Like what was your first impression? What do you think?
So the first impression was one of the things that blew me away was how little there was to kind of getting into it, because we had a little like lesson on the sand. He kind of like showed me what you're supposed to do, and that was like 10-15 minutes, if that. And he's like, all right, let's get in the water. And I was like, that's it? We're just now? And so it was like, in my head, I'd built up all these obstacles of like, oh, like this has to happen first, and then this has to happen first. Could not tell you what those things were, but in my head, I felt like there was more that should be happening before I actually like got in the water.
Right. Did you know how to swim?
I did.
Okay.
And that's kind of one of the things that like I didn't know this was a thing until I moved to LA and talked to a lot of people, but a lot of people are scared of the ocean.
Oh yeah.
And it's never been an issue with me. Like, I think because I spent so much time by the water, and like all of our vacation spots, we went to like Monterey, we went to Carmel, we were always by the water, and it was just like never even occurred to me to be like any kind of nervous around the water.
No, I'm the same way. Like I grew up sailing, so it's you're used to it. But I've got friends that like, I'll be like, we'll go to the beach. I'm like, let's go swimming. And they're like, we don't know what's in the ocean.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's the thing that kind of, like, usually across the board, it's like I can't see what's under the water.
yeah.
And I'm just like, so?
You're like, probably cool stuff. Like, I don't know.
And
Weird.
and it's also to our benefit. My parents got me into swim lessons when I was really young. So like I've been in the water since I was like 5. So.
Yeah, you're just like confident in your abilities. I bet
Yeah.
that helps. Did you immediately, like, after that first lesson, you're like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna keep doing this, or were you like maybe waited a while?
So I'll put it this way. I kind of had a little bit of a spark lit, but I didn't get it my first lesson. Like, I did not catch a first wave. It's hard. Like, and like when I take people out and like kind of give them a little rundown, it's trying to train muscles that you don't have to use in a natural way. And I think for that reason, it's just so foreign, and there's a kind of a learning curve. And so I got out and I just paddled around, and it was just like, I was just so exhausted by the time I got back, and I was just like, that was not what I expected it to be. But I think it was intriguing enough for me that I wanted to get back next week. And I did. And I went to that exact same company. I was like, I already did the lesson. Can I just rent a board and a wetsuit?
Oh, so you didn't do another lesson. You just like taught yourself from then on?
Yeah. And then it took me 3 weekends of getting out like consecutively back to back to back until I finally got that first wave.
Meaning like you stood up and like it carried you?
Yeah. Like paddled for it, got caught in it, like pushed all the way into shore.
What did that feel like?
That was the single best day of my life. Because it's like nothing I'd ever felt before. It's like, this is going to sound like super dramatic and corny, but it felt like I'd found a piece of me that had been missing my entire life.
Oh my God.
And yeah, like I like rolled up onto the shore, like from the water, and I just like, I was just looking around, I was like, did anybody see that? That was, oh my God.
Why is no one clapping?
Yeah.
Like, where is the banner and the fireworks? Yeah. Did you see that?
And yeah, it is like every surfer is trying to get back to that first feeling of what that first wave was like. Like you asked everybody across the board, it's the single best sensation of your life.
That is so cool. I honestly don't think I've had an experience like that where I was like you know, riding that high, like.
Yeah. And there's a lot of factors that go into it. Like, number one, it was like, I think to get that first one, I had, number one, in my brain, I had to want it more than I've ever wanted anything in my life. Like, like, you know, there's that Nick Offerman or Ron Swanson quote, is like, don't half-ass anything. Like, you have to believe that your life is on the line if you don't give it everything you've got, especially if you like are just out and trying to learn how to surf for the first time. And then like feeling that push and kind of having something like bigger than yourself. It's a total feeling of freedom that you don't normally get with like anything that happens on land, let's say.
Almost like flying.
Yes, 100%. And, you know, like with even skateboarding, you're kind of like looking at the ground. It's like, oh, if I fall on that, that's going to hurt. But you're riding on water, which like you're just going to fall into, and that's just a soft cushion. And that's just like you're basically riding on like almost nothing.
I was going to ask you if you skateboarded before.
I did. Not so much and not so good that I knew how to do anything. I think we both have a couple of friends who could skate circles around me.
But like it was so like it's not the kind of thing like that helped you at all.
Just insofar of like riding sideways, you know,
Okay.
just the stance that you need to take when you're riding the board. But there's something about it that is so much more ethereal and so much more connected to the world than I think skateboarding is for some reason. And you know, that's probably gonna have some people fighting me on that, but
Well, probably because like, well, from what I would imagine, skateboarding, you're still like within the like realm of like physics that you're used to always, but like that's different in the water where you're being supported and like it's an upward, something is pushing up against you versus just like the ground being there.
it's true. And the cool thing about water is that it's constantly changing as you're like riding on it, versus like a skateboard, you're riding down the pavement. The pavement's not going to change. The ocean is constantly changing, it's constantly moving, and you're moving with it. It's connection to a higher power.
That is really cool.
Yeah, and one of my favorite ways to think about it is you're kind of just borrowing this power to just enjoy yourself and just ride ride
Yeah.
on ocean.
Like a dolphin.
Yeah.
I can already hear how your state of mind, I guess, like connected to it and everything, but how did it affect your life or like change your life?
Um, I can talk about like the bigger picture as far as, now it's the axis that a lot of my life revolves around. It's why I try to eat well. It's why I stay in shape. It's why I got into volunteer work. It's like I do other physical activities, but I'm like, I don't want to give it 100% because I need to be able to get in the water tomorrow. Like if I have that chance.
Yeah, like that's the top priority.
Hmm. It's not like I ate terribly when I was like pre-surfing, but then I was just like, let's take it easy on the fried food.
What about community?
It's so funny because it's both like a communal thing and also a very solitary personal thing. I love days when it's first thing in the morning, the sun is barely coming up, and I'm the only one out in the water, and that's my favorite time to be out. It's my favorite feeling of just like having no one else around. But at the same time, it's just when you find someone else who like it knows on that same level. So that it's like, oh, you're the one I'm going to be talking to for the rest of the day. Like,
Both get it.
yeah, and there's kind of different levels. It's like someone will have dipped their toe in and just be like, oh yeah, I surf. I ride like the 1 to 2 foot like on a soft top, and it's like, okay, so you're just getting started. Like you're in the shallow end, but then you talk to those guys that are just like core lord lifers who are just kind of like, it's like all these stupid tourists, and it's just like, oh, like you're on the other end of the spectrum, like all the way. It's just finding that kind of the middle ground that those are my people.
Yeah. What is like, okay, you're talking about like riding like small waves, the shallow end or whatever, like how do you know what the biggest wave you've like ever ridden is or have an estimate?
It's a tough question because like, waves are so ephemeral that you can't like run up to it with like measuring tape and just be like, oh, like 4 foot. So the common metric is like how tall is it on you? Okay. So it's like a little waist high wave, or it's like a knee high wave, or like to me, I'm pretty comfortable where it's like up to my shoulder and up to my head. Am I allowed to swear on this?
Yes.
I call that like proper round size.
Okay.
Like the consequences aren't so bad that I can't walk away from it, but it's like there's a little bit for me to work with, because one of the things about surfing is like you kind of need force and you need power. The ones that look the scariest are the ones that pay off in the long run. And that was a big mental hurdle that I had to overcome, where I was just like in the water and like you see a big wave coming and you're just kind of like, I don't know if I can handle that. But you just like turn around, you just gun it, just like, we're going anyway. And then you take it and you land it and you're just like, oh, glad we did this.
Oh my, wait, have you ever gotten yourself into a sticky situation where like, I should not have done that?
Oh yeah. There was like mutton, like this is a few years ago, but kind of sooner than I should have done it, later than, like I probably should have known better. I was on a work trip in Fiji, and I got brought out to this really famous surf break called Cloud Break. And it's famous for being a nice shaped wave like when it gets bigger. And the guys I was out with were way better than I was. And like they saw it and they were just like, oh, we're out there. And I'm just like, I guess I am too. And like I paddled out, was in the wrong spot, and then like just I'm a little proud of myself for just like giving it a shot and just like going for it. But I went for this one and I fell off, and I was in a terrible spot to be in, where it was like right where the wave is breaking, which is, they call it the impact zone, is a very, very scary place to be. And if you don't know how to navigate yourself out of it, things can get pretty scary. And so when I was in that spot, I had 4 waves kind of like crash on top of me. It was like, number 1, I was down, like pop up, barely got a breath before the next one came. And that happened 4 times until finally I was like, I got to get out of here. So I grabbed my board and I put it under me, and I rode the whitewash in after it crashes, and like the foam kind of like swept me out. And there's an observation tower where like the surf contest judges, that's where they sit. That's where they kind of watch everything. It swept me over there, which was probably a good half a mile to 3/4 of a mile away from my boat and onto dry reef. And we'd already been out there for like 2 hours. and like I kind of got dropped on like the shallows and like just kind of stood up, looked around. I was like, this is not good. And so our boat was too far away for me to like yell for and just like get help. And so I was like, I guess we're walking, and like just kind of walked along like sharp reef until like I could get on my board and like paddle, and then like this kind of like washy wave just kind of got me and like it took me off the board. Board went this way, I went this way on like a piece of reef, and I was like right under the surface, and I was just kind of like, not good, not good.
Oh my God, were you getting cut up?
I wasn't getting cut up, but I was just kind of like, am I gonna drown? Like, let's get the board off me. But I was borrowing the board, so I couldn't lose it. It was my friend's board.
Oh God! Wait, do you have the board attached to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can't really lose it unless it snaps off.
Right.
Okay.
And so I got the leash, the leg rope off, and then like got up and then like paddled to like the next closest boat. I was like, "Can you give me a ride?" And then they went to go get my boat. Boat came over and like picked me up, and I just like got on like put the board on deck and just like flopped down. I was like, okay, I'm taking a break.
Oh my God, dude, that is crazy.
And then
I feel like I've been through it today.
Yeah, just like I'm done. I'm taking a minute.
Oh, dude.
And then I got back and I told my friend whose board I borrowed that story. She's like, "Is my board okay?" I was just like,
"Is your buddy okay?"
Yeah. I was just like, "Yeah, board's fine, but you know, I'm alive. Thanks for asking."
Jeez. Oh my God. You said that they are known for having nice shaped waves. What is a nice wave shape?
So ideally, we talk a little bit about like as a wave is kind of breaking, you want to kind of read it, see where it's going to like continue to form up and ride down that line. So that's all it is. So like a nice shaped wave is going to have direction, it's going to have a little bit of size and like a little bit of power. Like how much is kind of up to you, and that's like it depends on what kind of board you're riding, like what kind of surfing you want to do. But yeah, it's just if it goes in a line and there's an open face for you to kind of work with, almost like a canvas. And this is where surfing and art kind of like, or surfing is an art, you could say. So when there's like an open face or an open, like kind of as the wave is breaking, there's space to work with. And so you kind of draw a line with the board as you, like the way that you ride it. And it could be like a really powerful turn, or it could be like a nice long arcing turn. But it's almost like if you were to kind of like draw it out on a canvas, like what does that line look like? And kind of making yourself do that.
That's really cool. I wouldn't have known that. Like I honestly just kind of assumed you like get on the board and it just does what it does. But there's a lot more control on your end than that.
And a lot of it comes down to, it's a lot of factors, but like what kind of fins do you have on the bottom? What's the configuration? What is your board shape like? How long is your board? How short is your board? Like how thick is it? Yeah, it's a lot of little factors that make big differences. And that's why you have people who have like multiple surfboards at their place.
I know you have multiple surfboards. How many do you have?
11.
What's your favorite? Describe your holy grail surfboard to me.
So right now, the one I've been riding over the summer, because in the summer waves tend to be a little bit smaller because there's less offshore storms. Because during the winter, like storms are more common, kind of like way offshore, and that's like what sends powerful swell to the shore and like gets your bigger waves. It's actually during the Olympics why they held them in Tahiti instead of in France, because France has like legitimately world-class waves in Biarritz and Hossegor, but it was, since Tahiti's in the southern hemisphere, it was technically winter, so so they were getting like way better swell, and since Tahiti's a French colony, then they could hold it there.
Interesting. That's a crazy thing, to have an Olympic thing around something they can't control at all.
And it's so contentious, and like if you talk to like the core lords about it, they're just kind of like, you know, how can you possibly like hold a sport like that where so much is out of your control? And it's like, but also, you know, they had the whole discussion like it's got countercultural roots, like we're bringing this into the mainstream, like rabble, like that whole
Yeah, it's like you don't want it taken away, but you also like I don't know, maybe it's not the spirit of it to
Yeah.
force it in.
Which I mean, there's a lot of different sides to surfing. Not the least of which is like there's an athletic side to it. Which
Oh, for sure.
And so like on the grounds of like it being an athletic feat, like by all means, let's see which country can do it. Wave pools have kind of become a thing across the country,
yeah.
like a lot late. I just read today that they set one up in Utah. And the technology is definitely there now where like there's Kelly Slater's surf ranch in Lemoore that I've been lucky enough to go to like one time that generates a repeatable wave. Like it is controlled, it's like replicatable. I don't know if that's a word, but we're going with it. It is the best empirical marker of the abilities of a surfer that you can possibly get.
Because you get a standard effectively.
Exactly. Like it's like the number of variables is reduced.
How do they do it? Do you know?
So the surf ranch has like this giant hydrofoil. It looks like a giant train on a track. And there's a blade in the water that's kind of like curved a little bit. So then as the train's moving, it pushes the water, and then they kind of engineered the bottom of the pool to kind of be able to form this perfect wave. And so like it kind of goes in sections. There's like a big open face like we talked about, but then there's a section where it barrels. But it's like it always happens every single time at this one exact spot. So you can kind of plan for it.
Yeah.
And there's like different settings to the hydrofoil to kind of make it behave differently. But that's one way. The other way that I've heard of is like there's this technology they call it perfect swell, and I'm not super up on the specifics, but basically it generates a pulse underwater that kind of allows for a little more variance in the wave quality, but is still a controlled environment. Like it's a pool.
Yeah. And you got to try this thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was probably the best day of my life, and it's like going to Willy Wonka's because it's never gonna happen again.
How did that happen?
My friend won an Instagram contest. Because so I found this Instagram contest that was hosted by Kelly Slater's clothing company, Outer Known. I entered it, and I told my friend about it, and he entered it, and he won. Oh my God. And so when he won, he's like I kind of have to
morally obligated to bring you, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like, we are not friends anymore if you don't bring.
Oh yeah, you're on that list.
Yeah. And so it is funny because like that friend I've known since high school, but we reconnected recently because like I think at our tenure we realized like we both really love surfing, and that's kind of like we still talk. I was just talking to him right before I came in here. It's a new basis for like our friendship that's just like it's like, oh, look at us. Like
yeah, there's something about people that you were friends with when you were young, probably out of proximity, and then reconnecting later for real reasons. Like no, like we're like legitimately compatible to be friends, not just like you were my neighbor growing up, you sat next to me in school. Like we still have things that we're like growing to alongside with, and I think that's really sick.
Yeah, no, it's, and you know, law of averages, like you got to find something that you really connect with, like with old friends about. We would still be friends if we kind of like just met like tomorrow.
I love that. You told me about the surf ranch and going to Fiji, but I'm still going to ask where your journey has taken you as far as like accomplishments, milestones, or physical locations, kind of whatever like sticks out to you as like milestones in your journey.
So it's kind of, I'm not lucky enough, and I'm not like fortunate enough to say that surfing has kind of been the vehicle that's kind of brought me somewhere, but it's led me to a lot of different kind of places in my life where it's led me into other hobbies, let's say. Best one I can think of is it got me into photography, kind of in a tangential, indirect, roundabout way, where there's a photographer who got his start working for a surfer magazine, and a lot of his stuff really, really spoke to me at the time because I was like, that's a really amazing surf shot. But then he kind of was on the cusp of transitioning into other kind of like much more landscape, wilderness kind of like in awe of the world around you kind of shots. And like that also spoke to me from like days of like pre-surfing where I was just kind of like, I love being outside. I love kind of like feeling small in these places. And those are kind of the thesis of his photographs. And I was just like, I want to shoot that. And that's a little bit of kind of my approach when it comes to anything that I'm interested in. It's it's not like, oh, I'm going to admire this and like kind of be in awe of it. It's like, oh no, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Like how do I do that?
How do I be involved in the process of this thing? You know?
Just like I want that to be me.
Yeah. I can relate to that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
In the same way, like I can't walk through a craft fair without being like, and now I'm doing beading, and now I'm doing painting and like photography, whatever.
And it's a total, like, I think it's the best part of curiosity is like you want to know what's going on under the hood. Like if you personally walk through a craft fair, like I imagine your questions would be like, how did you do this? Like dissect it for me. Like let's talk shop, because I know what you're going to talk about on a level of just like unequal, but just like teach me your ways.
Yeah. And it's cool because the more hobbies and like things you come to understand, the more you can look at other things and start to dissect them yourself. Like you might not know how to do XYZ. Maybe you don't know how to snowboard, but you know how to surf, and there's some mechanics that probably has crossover. And I mean, I'm not assuming that I assume that you do know how to snowboard. There's something about you. I just know it.
Well, the thing is, I've snowboarded longer than I've surfed, but I love surfing so much more.
That's crazy.
Like it's not even a question.
Have you tried skiing?
I skied for like the first 5, 6, 7, 8 years of my life. In my brain, I couldn't figure it out.
Okay.
Like there was something about it that was like,
gotcha.
Could not unlock that door.
I was just curious if there was like a chance that you were like more into skiing than snowboarding. I was like, that's crazy, but
no.
I'm making up a story.
Like I'd be a terrible skier.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm surprised by that. But anyway, to the original point, like once you kind of start, you have some mechanics from one type of activity, you can start to kind of like map it over onto other things. So like you have at least a basis, and that can help you feel more confident going into something new too. Being like, well, and maybe you felt more like able to surf because you had some of it from other things like skateboarding or snowboarding. It's not the same, but it helps at least understand like how you would stand. Or
I mean, like standing sideways and going forward is like the coolest thing. Like could not tell you why, but it's just like there's something about it.
Dope as hell, bro. Like, I don't know, they're just sick. I love that. I can't wait to clip just that part of this talk and make it my ringtone for whenever you text me. Going sideways to moving forward, something about it. I love it. Okay, so like I feel like we've kind of gotten into this too. Like how has your hobby or your approach to it changed since you've started doing it? Like, or your life kind of, as your life's changed, how has your hobby adapted to that?
I will say, to my detriment, I'm probably a little harder on myself than I probably have to be, because I know that I can do something better. And like when I know that like I have the ability to do something, but for whatever reason I can't, it's very annoying to me. And it's hard because waves are like, they're so temporary, they're so ephemeral, and like you're kind of just waiting for one so you can practice.
Yeah.
But you're also kind of waiting with like other people, and if you go to a crowded spot, then you're kind of like competing for those waves. And the best way that I heard is that waves are a commodity, and that's where a lot of the aggression and like the kind of negativity comes from, of like people who are just, you hear the stories about like people who like get into fights at like surf spots, and it's because like they were waiting for that one thing that like whether they did or not, like they thought they had the right to, and someone took that away from them, and whether or not like XYZ factors kind of come in, and that's where people get like mad and pissed off and like break fins off boards and cuss people out. It gets intense.
Not the surf gangs.
Oh yeah. Like I've heard of some stuff that happened in like Malibu or something, where like someone kind of cut somebody off and like was unapologetic about it, and the guy who got cut off like swam up to the guy, like threw him off his board and broke the fin off of his board, and then just like swam away.
Oh my god. Swam away. Bye.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's something like so like just goofy about like starting a fight in the water and then like swimming away in a rage. Like, oh my god. Your life is different now than it was when you started surfing, right? But how do you find time or make time like in your life as it's changed?
It's a little less of a chore than it sounds, because if you love something that much, you just make time for it.
Right.
Like especially now that like it's so much more of a time investment, I kind of have to be a little bit more purposeful with like, okay, like Sunday coming up, like we're looking at the report, just like making sure, but
Mm-hmm.
like we're gonna go somewhere, but we're gonna go surf.
Yeah.
And when you love something that much, it's not a chore. Like you find the pleasure in kind of exercising your free time around it.
Yeah.
And that's why like hobbies are so interesting to me, because like we spend so much time at work, we spend so much time doing things that we have to do,
Yeah.
but I think the real measure of a person is what they do with their free time. And that's what I want to know at parties, is just like, oh, like what are you into when you have time to spare?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it's an interesting take that, like, you know, people, the attitude a lot of people have is like, you know, I'd love to do this or that, but I don't have time. It's like, well, you have time for work, right? Because you have this like strict like routine, partially forced upon you by, you know, society and obligation and the need to make money, but like in your mind there's really no question that from 9 to 5 I am working. Like, it is what it is. Why can you not just say, every Wednesday from 5 to 7, or every Sunday from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., like, this is what I do? And I mean, it's easier said than done, because there are the other obligations that come up, and there's also people who won't get that. You know what I mean? There's other people who be like, well, you always do that. Why can't you just not do it? You know?
Yeah, and that's not to undersell, like, you know, if people really don't have time, they really don't have time.
Right.
I remember hearing this one thing where it's like, it's almost like, you know, those like triangles with like an idea on every point. Is just kind of like a vibrant social life, like healthy eating, and like physical fitness. Is like you can pick two. Like,
yeah, no, I like to hope that you can have all of them, but it's also like easy to say, I'm not passionate enough about anything to make the time for it. But you'll never know if you're passionate enough about something unless you've tried some things.
And like if something really resonates with you, like, you make time. Best example, if you took pleasure in lifting weights or moving your body, going to the gym is not a chore anymore.
Yeah.
It's something you look forward to.
Yeah. And you can rewire your brain that way too. You can be more excited about every day because you have this thing that you love as part of it, instead of just like, well, I'm waking up and going to work again, coming home, watching TV, go to bed. Like, and I love watching TV, but I don't feel fulfilled by it, you know? So. Yeah.
I'm such a creature of habit that, like, I know I have like my activities of every single day of the week booked down. Like, I know exactly where I'm going to be. Like, when 7 o'clock rolls around and I can get off the clock.
Yeah.
Like, Monday, going to the gym. Tuesday, going to trivia. Wednesday, going to the gym. Thursday, going to bingo. Like, and that, to me, I've baked that into my schedule because I found joy in those things. And I'm like, I'm going to make time for that. And like, and then now like, it wasn't always like the normal gym. It was like, I would go climbing, and that was like an enjoyable activity where I got to see my friends and I got to like go climb walls.
Yeah.
But then I started going to a normal gym, and it's just like, okay, like, let me trick my brain into thinking it likes this.
Yeah.
And it worked. I like going to the gym.
Yeah, no, it's great.
But it helps that I've got an activity or a hobby that, like, it necessitates and facilitates having like being in physically fit shape. I mean, that's a very, like, it's a specific example of like something you make time for in the routine.
Yeah.
But it helps.
For sure. That actually reminds me, I wanted to ask before, when you were talking about like, oh, like surfing will work muscles like you never use or whatever. What hurts after surfing? What part is sore?
Usually your back.
Okay. Upper or lower or all?
Lower.
Okay.
Because you kind of have to do like I don't know yoga positions that well, but I think it's snake.
Cobra.
And then like you do a lot of core work when you're like paddling. The shoulders, I'm still working on getting my paddle endurance, paddle strength up, because like if I was like a video game character, like paddle strength for me would be like 1 star.
We're getting there. It's crazy that you don't just like, it doesn't just become easy from doing it, you know?
And like those people that can get out like every single day, like they see results like much faster than I do. But I'm a weekend warrior because I go so much farther than I used to.
Right.
I used to get up at 5 a.m. to drive on traffic going toward the beach cities and like get in before work.
Oh my gosh.
That was great. And again, it's one of those things where it's just like it sounds like a pain in the butt, but you're just kind of like, and to be fair, I like grumble and grouse like on the way there. I'm just like, why am I doing this? Like it's still dark. Like it's gonna be cold.
Like I
Like
could be sleeping. I could be in bed.
yeah, and then like suiting up is just kind of like, oh, is it worth it? Like, like is there anything? Oh, all right, fine. I'm here. Let's get in the water, whatever. And then you catch that first wave as the sun's coming up. You're like, all right, glad we did this.
It's all
Like,
worth it. Yeah. I love that. If surfing as a hobby came with a warning label, what would it be?
So this also sounds like the most gatekeepy core lord ever. But there are stickers that say like, if you don't surf, don't start. Because again, certain like waves are a commodity, and like, and the more crowded like a place is, then it's just like, oh, that's less waves for me.
Oh, keep people out.
But if you do stick with it, it will change your life.
Oh.
100%. I'm of the firm belief that the world would be a much better place if more people surfed.
Why?
Because it facilitates a connection to the world. You're on the front lines in the ocean. You kind of notice the changes that happen in the water. Like when I was first surfing, like around like November, December, like I needed a much thicker wetsuit. These days I can wear like something thinner like for most of the year, and that's actually really concerning. And it doesn't like, and I think it kind of helped. Don't know what the right word is. Let's say foster the environmentalist in me. Like environmentalism has always been like something that's at the forefront of my mind, but because now my favorite activity involves like directly communing with nature, then I care about it more.
Right. It's like almost empathy for the planet versus just like a selfish like wanting it to be.
Yeah. So I volunteer with the Surfrider Foundation a lot, and well, a little bit less these days. Sorry, guys. But the way that I approach it is that like volunteering with an ocean-based organization, it's paying rent for being able to surf.
What does that organization do?
It's protecting the oceans, waterways, and health of our world's water systems, so that people can continue to enjoy them. And it's everything from like legal litigation against like oil drilling projects into like beach cleanups.
Yeah. What do you do?
I started with beach cleanups, and it's the easiest like foot in the door gateway thing of just kind of like you spend the like 2 hours on the beach, and you kind of just walk around, you pick up trash, and it's eye opening when you kind of see the things that you pick up, and you're just kind of like we as people are doing this, like we gotta do better than, and it does kind of like I think one of the biggest surprises to me was the number of cigarette butts that we ended up picking up. Like I think the most we ever picked up was like 792 cigarette butts in like 2 hours, and it's never anything less than like 400.
Oh my God.
And it's like what, and so now like you walk past somebody who's like smoking on the sidewalk, and like they just kind of drop, you're just kind of like, hey, pick that
That's gonna end up on the beach. You know?
Yeah, and
I'm gonna have to pick it up.
Yeah. And yeah, it kind of makes you think a lot about like just the ways that things kind of end up in the ocean.
Yeah.
And one of like my favorite things that the Surfrider Foundation does is called One Watershed, where they partner with an organization and take usually kids to the beach and give them free surf lessons. And it builds a relationship with the water that kind of lets them know that even though you don't live directly on it, what you do does end up affecting the ocean in one way or another.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and also it's at the same time like my favorite thing of watching someone get their first wave for the first time.
Oh.
And like, and I taught surfing for a little while because I love kind of being around that. And like when someone like gets it and they get their first wave, they end up on the shore, they're like fist pumping, jumping up and down. I'm just like, yes.
Oh.
Like,
wait, how do you think that like you would have like it would have impacted your life if you had learned to surf as a kid?
I would probably be completely more obsessed than I am now. I think I probably would have made some very, very drastically different life choices as far as like where I went to school or what I studied in school or even just like where I chose to live.
Yeah.
I would definitely not be the same person I am today, which, for better or for worse.
Yeah, no, but you'd recommend it probably for a child, like somebody was like, maybe I'll take my kid, like.
Yeah, and that's like, I recognize that it's not for everybody, and I've brought people out who like they enjoyed themselves, but like they never hit me up to go back.
Yeah.
And like me being the guy that I am, I'm just like when I get into anything, especially surfing, I was just like, hey, you know who would like this? Everybody. And so, and like, yes. And when I talk to people, there are a lot of people who are just like, oh, it's something I've always wanted to try. I'm just like, when do you want to go? Saturday? What are you doing Saturday? Like, I got stuff. Like, you need stuff? Like, you don't have to spend a cent. Like, I can gear you up and we can go, like, just say the word. And I'm just like, well, I'm just like, I thought you said you wanted to go. Like,
just calling people's bluffs left and right. Yeah. I feel like I meant it in like a hypothetical way. Now you're putting like making me put my money where my mouth is. Don't make me do that.
But then like those times that like people just kind of like call my bluff is like, all right, I'll pick like come to my house at like 8 a.m. on Saturday. Like I'll drive us down.
If somebody is not your friend, but they want to start surfing, what do they do? What's step number one? What do they need to do to get if they want to just try it tomorrow?
If they want to try it tomorrow, it helps actually having an instructor or like someone who has gear who can kind of like tell you about the safety stuff that you're probably not going to figure out yourself. Okay. So like get one lesson under your belt with somebody who knows, who can like teach you how to not be in people's way, teach you how to like be safe and like do it effectively, and then just kind of turn you loose to practice. And then after like you kind of get those ideas down, then you can rent gear for really not that much. That was maybe one of the obstacles I had in my head is like, oh, it's gonna cost so much money to like get a board and get a suit, and it's like no, it's like grand total of like $40 for like 2 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
And you can just go to the beach and they've got
there's
places nearby.
Yeah, the school I used to work at ran out of a truck in the Santa Monica parking lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like even rolling up the first time I was like, this is your spot? All right, cool, I'm in it. So,
do you need a wetsuit? Or does that just depend on your comfort level?
It depends on your cold tolerance more than anything.
So it's not like a safety thing or really?
No. Like if you can go without one, like power to you. It is definitely like much more preferable because the thing with wetsuits is just like it does restrain your movement a little bit, but like you stay warm. Yeah. And that's a lot of my friends like one of their kind of things is like people just don't like being cold. Mm-hmm. I'm just like you get used to it. It's fine. Like
yeah. Well, it's like tough too because you're I don't have a problem going in the water and swimming at the beach, but I'm underwater the whole time, and like it's when you come out that you're cold. So if you're up and down, I could see why a wetsuit would be beneficial. But
also like for someone who's never worn a wetsuit before, like people just like don't believe you that it's as warm as it is, and then like when you go under and you start moving around, you're just like, oh, like I'm toasty.
Damn near cozy.
Yeah. You're just like, I told you.
I think I was lying. Yeah. Well, Doug, I know that you've got a whole laundry list of other hobbies. Do you want to give us the like speed round of other things you do?
Yeah. Photography, climbing, guitar, watches. That's that is probably like the most out of left field one that.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, those are kind of the ones that like still kind of stick with me.
Yeah, damn, those are all like most people like don't have one of those. You know what I mean?
No, and like
commitments.
I like doing stuff. Like I think it's just curiosity that kind of gets me into things, and then like finding enjoyment out of it like keeps me coming back.
I'm the exact same way. My little catchphrase is I'd rather do anything than nothing. Like whenever like my husband who is ever like oh yeah I'm gonna go like to the driving range or wherever, I'm like I'll come I want to go too, like just whatever it is, I don't care. Like, and I'll probably get into it too, like especially if I'm good at it the first time I try. Bring me back, I love that.
It's just kind of like I seem to have a knack for this.
You don't say. I love this. And the more things you do, the more you have a knack for is what's fun.
Yeah. And also like again, curiosity gets you so far in life when like if someone knows something that you don't, it's just like tell them, like teach me about it. Yeah. And that like because people love teaching anybody else about the things that they love. Yep. And like you made a friend just by like wondering about this thing you didn't know about like
Truly
2 seconds ago.
Ultimate life hack for making friends, because people love to talk about themselves and they love to talk about things that they're excited about, and then who they are as a person pretty quickly because
Yeah.
you're seeing inside their brain. It's just like allows you to connect so fast.
Mm-hmm. And I think also if you have any kind of grounding in what you connect with people over, that's like it's a very sure way of just like, okay, so I know this, but like how does this fit into like the grander picture of like, oh, let me tell you.
Yeah, yeah. I have a little game for us.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to play. I would love for you to give me a piece of lingo from the surfing world. I will guess what I think it means, and then you'll tell me what it really means. We'll see. We'll see how close I was.
All right.
But I want to say from jump. What is a core lord?
So those are kind of like the people who like are so ingrained and endemic to kind of like what the real spirit of surfing or the real spirit of anything would be, like to the point where they gatekeep it.
Okay.
And like it's always interesting trying to like find where the core of any hobby lies, because like you can have like the posers who are just kind of like, it's like, you know, I know all about this thing. It's like, you don't know about this thing.
Name 3 songs.
Yeah, exactly. It's the exact same thing. The core lords are going to be the ones who are both going to be like, just like, oh, that song sucks, or just like, oh, try this one out, try this song out.
They're the guru.
Yeah,
But they're the tough guru.
yeah, and like core lords can both gatekeep and kind of let you in.
Okay. They're the master. They're holding the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah, and I love trying to find where the core lies, because like you know, I want to make sure I'm doing it right.
Yeah, yeah. I like that approach. Alrighty, let's get into it.
Okay, dropping in.
Dropping in. Well, I know like in a half pipe, that's when on a skateboard or like a snowboard, it's like when you're at the top and you kind of get in there. So yes, number one, that's Okay.
right, but it also it's a little bit bigger than that. Like, you know, not that your answer wasn't right, but it is like kind of descending the face of a wave and beginning your ride. But it also can refer to like getting in someone's way who's already on the wave.
Oh.
It's kind of an etiquette breach.
Okay. Oh, so it's bad.
Yes. If someone dropped in on somebody, like that's actually really bad. And depending on the wave, it's actually very dangerous.
Oh.
And that's where a lot of like the surf etiquette comes from. It's just like you just want to be safe.
Okay. Wow. So you're actually starting out as you're catching the wave on top, and you're choosing when you're going into it.
You actually like the timing of like beginning a ride into a wave it's a little bit sooner than people think. You don't want it like as the wave is like starting to throw already. You want it like you want there to be a slant, but you also like want power to still kind of exist to be able to continue to push you.
Interesting.
Yeah. Quiver.
Quiver. As a noun or a verb?
As a noun.
As a noun. Okay. Well, I recently did an archery lesson, and the quiver was where you keep your arrows. So maybe it's, I don't know, where you keep your snacks or something. Like
So it's really close, and it's along those same lines, but it's your collection of surfboards.
Okay. Oh, what? So the surfboards are the arrows in this scenario. Is it? But it's not a physical thing. It's just like kind of your collection.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like you say like oh, I've got like 3 or 4 boards in my quiver.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
Okay. I would never have known that actually. If somebody just like said it, I'd be like, what the hell are they talking about?
And like that's why like surfers have a quiver. Like snowboarders maybe, but like surfers definitely, because it's like different shoes for different feeling or different reasons, you know.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Barrel.
Barrel.
Both a noun and a verb.
Both a noun and a verb. I guess. Oh my gosh, I don't know.
Do you give up already?
Yeah, I'm giving up already.
Okay.
Already.
Yeah. All of 10 seconds.
It's done. Forget it. Move on.
But it's when a wave has enough power where the top kind of throws over and forms a little cavern inside. And to get barreled, you probably heard that term kind of. Okay. So to get barreled is when you're riding a wave and it throws over and you ride inside of that cavern as it continues to break alongside.
I've seen that on video.
It's kind of one of the cool things about the surf range is like it makes a barreling wave section, and if you kind of know what you're doing, you can like get yourself under it.
Cool. That is cool. Is it dangerous?
As far as like your position on a wave like that, it's probably the safest place to be, because
Really?
because like you don't want to be in front of that, like when something like when the wave like crashes in front of you, because that's kind of expending all the power of the wave like right where you don't want to be. And then like when it kind of like clamps down on you, like yeah, it kind of sucks. It sends you through the wash, but like it's definitely better than like being kind of in a worse spot, I guess. Okay, so hang 10. That's
Hang 10.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like that the one that's entered the lexicon that like no one really
yeah.
no one really knows what it means.
I mean, I assumed it meant like you stand. When I say it's gonna sound so stupid, but I'm picturing like standing at the very tip of the board and hanging all 10 toes off the very front and the back. Really?
Yeah, that's it.
You can do that?
Yeah, and like the physics behind that are astounding.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, that's why I was like, this is gonna sound stupid when I say it, because as I was explaining, I'm like, well, this can't be possible.
No, it has to do with like the curve of what they call the rails, the size of the board, and the way that kind of water moves around it, where like it kind of like holds you in place well enough, you can kind of transfer all the weight to the front.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I heard like hang 10 toes, 11 if you're naked.
You're in trouble.
Party wave.
Party wave. Maybe if like a bunch of you were in there. Really?
Yeah. So if a wave's gentle enough, and it usually this happens when a wave is just closing out and going straight back to the beach. But if more than one person can get on it and like ride it together, then that's a party wave.
That's so cute. And are you all looking at each other like?
Pretty much. Like that's like someone else calls it, and we're just like.
Are you calling? You're like party wave.
Yeah. And like when I'm out in the water, sometimes I just kind of like looked at the people around. I was like, "Are we gonna party this one?" And then they're just like, "We can." I was like, "Let's do it."
Why is that so cute? Yeah. I love that. Oh my god. Wait, I want to. Me now wanting to get into surfing because of the party wave and wanting to be involved.
It's goofing around. It's just like those are so fun. Like you're not trying to like shred the wave up. You're just like riding it with your friends and just like goofing around.
That's sick. That is so sick.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love that.
Line up.
Maybe like, I don't know, the way you're standing on the board or something.
So it's actually where everybody kind of sits, like waiting for the waves to come, because everybody kind of sits in a line. And so they call that the lineup.
With your like legs hanging on either side, right?
Well, yeah, because like when you're waiting for a wave, you kind of straddle the board and just like that's your kind of at rest position. Yeah. And again, core lord. It's like back in the day, there used to be an etiquette to this kind of thing where you just took turns, and these days, like the etiquette's out, but it is like everybody kind of sits in the line, and like whoever's in the right position to catch that wave, especially at a beach break, which like it's inconsistent where it's going to break all the time. So like if you're sitting in the right spot and it's your wave, versus like a point break where you're kind of like breaks in the same spot every time, and like the person who's like at the front of the line gets to take it, and then kind of. Yeah. Next person takes turn.
Because they're out and now you're. Oh, yeah. Interesting.
There's like a whole weird formula of just kind of like, okay, is this person a local? Like how are they a kid or are they an adult? Like how good are they? Like are they going to be able to get this wave? Like that all these factors kind of go in of just like who should be going on this wave?
A whole nother language, basically.
Yeah, and again, like when you do it, it's almost like saying it out loud is harder than like understanding it.
It's a felt thing.
Yeah, because you're just like it's the unwritten rules of like you're not like doing the checklist in your head. It's just kind of like this and like this and this and it's like oh that's Bobby. He like lives up the street. Like yeah,
let him go.
Of course. Like and he's like right where the wave's breaking. Yeah, that's his.
That is so cool though, because I mean obviously I've seen the people out in like Malibu like sitting on their board waiting, and like yeah, some of them get up when there's a wave coming, but then sometimes other people don't. I'm like, why wouldn't you all go? But now I'm getting it.
Yeah, especially if someone's been like waiting forever. It's like yeah, like it's their turn.
Give them a shot.
Yeah.
Well, now it is time for our hobby hotline, which is where the viewers can write in seeking a suggestion for a hobby. We're basically a hobby matchmaker. So are you ready to hear our letter today?
Let's do it.
Alrighty. Dear Hobby Hopping, I'm in kind of a weird place right now. Life feels like it's all responsibilities and no fun. Between work and taking care of things at home, I've totally lost track of what I enjoy just for me. I'd love to try a hobby that helps me decompress without feeling like another thing on my to-do list. I'm more of an introvert, so I'm not looking for something super social right now, but I wouldn't mind connecting with people eventually. I love the idea of doing something creative, but I'm not very confident in my skills yet. I need something I can ease into without pressure. Can you help me find a hobby that's just peaceful and fun?
First thing off the top of my head was photography, because we all have phones in our pockets that have like pretty nice cameras, and you know, like we're kind of flush in the age of like amateur photographers, but if for the introvert, it's a way to observe without engaging.
Yeah.
And it is very much a creative endeavor, and like, you know, play around with a picture and post to see like what you can do to make it look like the way that you want, or like make it look like something out of like that doesn't happen in the natural world. And yeah, like photography is social if you want it to be, and that's kind of what's cool about it.
Yeah, I like that. I had a feeling you'd say photography, and I think that makes total sense. My mind always is going to go to fiber arts first, just because that's what I do. I do embroidery, but it's so like easy to get into because you can just order a kit online and try it, and you're probably going to do a good job. And it's one of those things where it's like very forgiving because you can kind of just always, you know, layer on. If it's not looking good, just do stitches over it, and eventually it kind of comes out good. So like I feel like that's good for people who are insecure about their creative ability. But I really like the idea of photography, especially since you can get in with zero money invested.
Yeah.
And if you live in Los Angeles, and most cities will have something like this, the library, if you have a library card, there's a bunch of free online classes, and you can do one. I actually did a photography class through this like Gale learning course through the LA Public Library, and it was like a 6-week course, and I like learned like, you know, basic composition and stuff. They also had Photoshop ones if you wanted to like get better at that.
Dude, how great are libraries?
I just love a library.
Libraries are the best.
Like, why would you not have a library card? You gotta go. But yeah, it's just so sick. And I mean, that's a great way to find like any kind of hobby. But I think photography is great too, because it's like you can do a meetup. You know, there's like all sorts of like photography meetups and stuff like that. And it's also just some things. I think for if you're a new person, like if you're not comfortable going somewhere alone, it's almost like a life hack to do a craft or activity in a public place, because it makes you feel like you're allowed to be there, like you belong there, even if you're by yourself, which sometimes is like very hard for people. So you can go to a market, or you could go to an event or fair, or a, you know, anything, and a food festival or something, and you can go with like your camera, and now suddenly you don't feel weird that you're at the food festival alone. You're to do photography, you know. The
camera legitimizes the people watching.
Yeah, that is so true. It just makes it feel like less, I don't know, solitary, I guess.
Yeah, and then the other one I could think of, like that's kind of more of a physically active nature, is climbing, because climbing is actually a pretty creative endeavor too, because like people of different heights, body shapes, strength levels are going to go up the wall differently, and so a lot of it's like physical problem solving, and so you just kind of, especially with bouldering, which is like low height, no harness, you just kind of like walk up to the wall, you're like, I want to be there, and you just like figure out how to get yourself there.
Scary.
Yeah. but it's, you know, as far as something that doesn't need like a physical fitness barrier to entry, then like photography for sure.
Yeah. Well, if you try out photography, let me know how it goes. I'd love to have you on the podcast in the future to talk about your new hobby, even if it's not photography. I would love to talk about, you know, what you did come up with. Doug, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to talk to you, but really, really cool to dig into your favorite thing with you.
Yeah, this is fun. I could talk about surfing all day. Like,
honestly, I could too. If I didn't have a timer on this situation, I'd be like, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Where can people find you if they want to connect?
I'm on Instagram, DJ Saribay. And I got a photography website, but it's DOUGSARIBAY.com.
Fabulous.
Paid extra for the .com.
Honestly, I was like, you got your full name .com? Like,
oh yeah,
only dream.
GoDaddy hooked me up.
Come off. Amazing. Yeah. All right, thank you so much, Doug. And if you'd like to learn more about hobby hopping, sign up to be a guest on our podcast, or write in for our Hobby Hotline segment. You can find all that info at hobbyhopping.co, because I didn't get hooked up by GoDaddy, unfortunately. Or you can follow along on YouTube and Instagram at Hobby Hopping with Emy. Thank you so much for listening, and remember, it is never too late to try something new.